Welcome back to Daily Devotionals for Nurses. My name is Tola Olabi. So today we continue on with our study of the book of Judges 6. And originally, this study came out of the Nurses of Faith Academy because we were studying Jehovah Shalom, talking about peace. And then I saw how this tied with the cry for help that I'd been talking about on the podcast. And so that's why I brought this. That's why I kind of incorporated this Judges 6 because the children of Israel also cried out to God, right? We had seen previously that David was crying out to God, but the Israelites, the Israelites as a people cried out to God. So we are in Judges 6, verse 11. They had cried out to God. God has sent them a message through a prophet. So he sent them a word before their breakthrough came. And so now we meet Gideon. In Judges 6:11, it says, "Now the angel of the Lord came and sat underneath the terebinth tree, which was in Ophrah, which belonged to Joash the Abiezrite, while his son Gideon threshed wheat in the winepress, in order to hide it from the Midianites." Verse 12, "The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said to him, 'The Lord is with you, you mighty man of valor.'" Now I want to warn you that this study has been so significant that I may go a little bit slower because I want us to kind of understand what was happening and the significance of this person who was chosen as an answer to the oppression that the Israelites were facing. So here we meet Gideon, who was threshing wheat in the wine press. From my understanding, a wine press is not for wheat. A wine press is for turning grapes into wine. But we see Gideon threshing wheat in a wine press. Gideon was innovative. He figured out a way to thrive, even though the Midianites were oppressing the children of Israel. But he figured out a way, and instead of doing this thing out in the open where the Midianites can come and devastate my earnings, everything have grown, he figured out, let me thresh the wheat in the wine press where they don't know, they can't see what I'm doing. So we see that Gideon was not just sitting around waiting. Right? Yes, he was part of Israel that cried out to God, but he wasn't just sitting around waiting. He was doing what he could to survive in the midst of chaos. He was working. Sometimes people are waiting for God to take them out of that situation that's not ideal, right? So maybe you're waiting for God to take you out of this situation where you've been experiencing the consequences of disobedience or slow obedience or inaction. Or the nation is experiencing disobedience, and you're expecting God to take you out before he can use you. But here we meet Gideon, that the angel comes to basically tell him that, hey, you've been chosen. He was working. So wherever you find yourself in a situation that may not be ideal, it could be work. It could be in a leadership role. It could be financially. It could be you feel like, oh, but I'm not all the way great. I don't feel so good. I don't feel like I felt 20 years ago. I don't have As you may say, you don't have as much money as you used to have, or as many material things. All that, it doesn't matter. Gideon was working. Gideon was surviving. The way you show up in the day to day when situations are not perfect says a lot about you. And the mindset of a kingdom citizen looking towards heaven should be, even though this is not perfect, even though we are here in this imperfect world, I will continue to show up with excellence because God has given me the grace that I need to do what He has called me to do. Even when it's not obvious, the way you show up every day in imperfect situations tells a lot about your character. And one thing I say to Christians and to everyone listening, if you are a Christian and you are always um you always knocked down by every wave of the news, of every situation, you're the one that's always complaining, you're the one who always has something to say, then how are you different from people who do not believe in God? If you believe in a God that can rescue you and save you and help you, act like it. Act like it. Be that person. Don't just have it in your mind, but let your words, let your character, let your actions, let it show. Let it show.